No, 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 no.
Who's Mark Christopher? Who is Jerry Daniel?
He's such a jerk. Yeah, that's just you.
Walking the parade tomorrow.
You guys think we have honor guard and instructors. I mentioned that.
Hi, Jen.
Hi. How are you?
Ronnie,
Hey, how are you?
we got the side right this time.
We got the side right. Although
Hey, John.
my
How
initial
are you,
one,
Larry?
I had it down there.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Andrea last night. I said, I want to make sure because I don't want to like move this. I get it down on the bricks. No, it's at the base foot. Okay. But I'm just I'm setting it up here.
It's not that hot.
That's great.
And the speaking program is nowhere near as long as Tolman last the other. That was like oops.
Oh,
Anyway,
great.
but it's still nowhere near as long as Tolman. Oh. So the three of them
Upstairs.
together. I'm coming down and bringing out his yeah. Oh.
Okay, over there. Straight ahead.
Yep.
Straight ahead. Got it.
Is Mark here?
I think so.
I know he's coming.
He's supposed to. I just asked Rico. Rico said he's here.
Yeah, it's 12:05. He should be coming soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's part of the problem. That's why I like the name tag.
Lieutenant Governor. Is the governor sitting here?
Governor.
Wait, the lieutenant governor's not on the speaking agenda.
But it has to be here.
Yep. So I need to have.
That's okay. No, no, no. We know who she is.
Oh, good. She won't.
She won't do that.
All right. And then, do you want Chris to
No, governor.
Speaker. No, we weren't. Everyone.
I did it with my mother. So the whole project.
Which one? You want us to make it look prettier?
No, I just want to get it today. No, but I know Frank Malone and Outrage. One of the projects.
So his mom will leave like after
There we go. How's it going? That's nice. That's nice.
And with you?
Okay. So I get the spellings.
Oh, I should do that too.
I usually do that.
Oh, he's chief COO. I didn't know that.
Bill signing.
I'm gonna have to get his
There you go.
title corrected.
So we're at an event this morning with the governor and two members of Congress.
Yeah.
Jim Langevin. It was David Cicilline's podium. Jim Langevin pulls his thing up.
God,
The
yeah.
whole podium tips over.
Oh, how
Luckily nobody was hurt.
Oh my
It
God.
was more embarrassing than anything. You know?
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah, yeah. We're probably on somebody's live stream now that I think of it.
Hey, I got lipstick on. I'm okay.
See?
I said I
You.
put my lipstick
Yeah,
on, you know.
good for you. All right, so now we're waiting on the Senate President. Is he on this?
Who?
Senate President? Is he here?
Ruggiero, Shikarchi.
See him? Governor's waiting to make an entrance, no doubt.
How are you? Fine. So I'm not sure what they told you. I mean, it's a bill signing.
Do you know who Mark is?
Yes, I do. He's not over there, but he's you'll notice him because he's a fairly young man with a completely bald head from chemo.
Ah, okay.
Not over there. I'm trying to see.
Have you seen him here yet?
Yeah, yeah. No, he and I
Oh, he's-
talked and
okay.
introduced me to his wife.
I
Let me
think I
see.
see him. He's in a blue suit right over here.
Where are you looking?
Holy cow, see! What kind of lens are you having?
It's a parade.
What kind of lens do you have? Sign there. Okay. Why I always walk around.
What's that boy on? How are you?
Good, how are you, Steve?
All right.
Great to see you.
Thanks.
Thanks for yesterday. That was a surprise. That was fun. Yeah.
I'm telling Bill,
Okay.
They got a house owned by Margarita.
Oh, windy?
Jeez, windy. Close?
We'll keep it closed, yeah.
Here.
Where's the speaker?
I don't know. Not back yet. Sorry, what did you say?
That's okay.
That's whoever we had. How would you rate?
Yeah, it's just easier for you guys.
Oh, right.
Stop by on Monday, but I have 3 representatives who have it, and meeting with him. So I just want to let you know, we'll do my best. I know. I have, actually, I have 4 representatives. I have Justine Goldberg, Kathy Fogarty, I have J.P. Barrows, and I have Tom Gray. 4 representatives. How about after the session ends, first week of July? Is it a bill or is it a budget? Budget? Talk to him. I just came out of a negotiation. Okay. Took the governor and Tony. All right. Who is it? How much money is it?
Hi, Governor. How are you? Good. How you doing? Long time no see. What's going on? 2 days?
Hi, Governor. Good morning.
I'm going to sit down, Governor.
Okay. Excellent. Are we ready to start, everybody?
Yes, sir.
And so everyone knows that the speaking agenda is taped to the podium,
Yes.
and you'll just introduce the person
Yes,
after you.
I got
All
you.
right?
Senate President.
You got it.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with the Speaker and the Senate President, members of the General Assembly, to sign the Mark Christofoli Economic Development Act into law. I'll keep it brief because today is about one thing. It's about jobs and how important jobs are to Rhode Island, how important good paying jobs are to Rhode Island. This legislation represents $250 million in economic development. That includes securing 1,100 well-paying jobs right here in the state of Rhode Island. Let me say again, because of this legislation, we will keep 1,100 good-paying jobs right here in the state of Rhode Island. Now, I know today is a day long time coming. Certainly, I know I have friends that are sitting up here that I've had conversations with before I was governor. But the agreement reached today and the legislation that I will sign today has been dramatically improved since it was first introduced. And I want to thank specifically the Speaker for his leadership on this issue. I want to recognize Mark and the Bally's team and thank him and Jay and the IGT team for the confidence and commitment in the state of Rhode Island. Before I turn it over to the speaker, I want to conclude by sharing with you the latest news out of Moody's, which is good news for the state of Rhode Island. We normally have this first in, last out of economic downturns. Today is a step forward to make sure that we are not the first in, last in, and then when we get into an economic downturn, we're first out. Moody's Analytics has created a back to normal index. The index shows which states are closest to their pre-pandemic economics and economies. The index looks over 30 economic indicators. Rhode Island is ranked number 1 in the Northeast for its rankings on this index. So in case you're wondering where Massachusetts and Connecticut are, which are certainly our competitors, they are 48th and 6th and 18th respectively. So we're doing very well, and I give a lot of shout outs to everybody who got the shots in the arm. So if you haven't got the shots in the arms, this is the time to do it. Right, we're approaching 75% of first shots in the arms in the state of Rhode Island. I said just tongue in cheek, I did a back of the napkin calculation. I think we can get to 90% by Labor Day, and we need everybody to come in on that and make sure that that happens. I get to turn it over now to the Senate President, whose leadership was key in enhancing this proposal. Senate President, please come up and say a few words, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much, Governor, and it's great to see a crowd of this magnitude here for this very special event. This didn't just happen overnight. This started in around June in 2019 when Senator Bill Connolly was the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. They took approximately 26 hours of testimony during the summer and the fall of that year. And then they crafted a piece of legislation that I thought was a very good piece, and that was the foundation for the legislation that we have today. After that, we still continued to work on the legislation, and there was a transition. And Senator Ryan Pearson became the chair of the Senate Finance Committee. And he extended what was already accomplished by Senator Connolly and made it a much better bill. As the governor said, a lot of credit goes to the Speaker of the House, who enhanced the legislation that is going to be signed today. So I want to really acknowledge and thank our Speaker, Joseph Sakachi, for the tremendous job that he did on this piece of legislation. As the governor said, this guarantees 1,100 jobs are going to stay in Rhode Island. It also guarantees more jobs at Twin River. It also guarantees that both of these groups were going to be headquartered to some extent in the state of Rhode Island and in Providence. It requires Bally's, a Fortune 500 company, to invest $100 million in including a 50,000 square foot expansion at Lincoln. And it also protects Rhode Island's third largest source of revenue. These are guarantees and protection for the state that simply would not be possible to secure through a bid process. And they are great for Rhode Island. I need to express my tremendous gratitude to all the members of the Senate Finance Committee and all the members of the Senate Chamber for their consideration of this legislation. I want to recognize the presence of Chairman Ryan Pearson, who is here today. Ryan, thank you. You've done a tremendous job on this particular issue, and I know it was not an easy issue. I'm certainly grateful to Bally's for their strong partnership, and it's very nice to see my friend, Mark Crisafulli, here today. Finally, I want to acknowledge the leadership of Governor McKee and former Governor Raimondo, and the hard-working professionals in the administration, particularly at the Department of Revenue and the Division of the Lottery. I want to thank you all for being here today, and it is my pleasure to introduce my counterpart, my colleague in the General Assembly, and my friend, Speaker Joseph Sakachi.
Thank you. Very nice work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, Governor, honored guest. It's a beautiful day in so many ways here in Rhode Island. Not only is the weather beautiful, our good friend Mark Crisafulli was able to join us today. Mark has been a driving force in gaming in Rhode Island for over 2 decades. And this is a culmination of your work, Mark, and previously for IGT, and now for Bally's. The governor said it, the Senate president said it, 2 great Fortune 500 companies based in Rhode Island that will be here for at least 20 more years, will continue to grow. The better you do, the better the state does. So we're proud to have you as good corporate citizens, and we wish you much success. Thank you, yes. I'd like to recognize in the House, it takes a team effort, and I have part of my team here today. Chairman Abney couldn't make it, but he's been instrumental as chairman of the Finance Committee, who guided us through the process of numerous hearings, at least a half a dozen over the last 2 years. And of course, my colleagues, 2 freshman rock stars, Representative Jack Baginski and Representative Brandon Potter, who helped me get the votes we needed to push us over the finish line. So thank you both. I was talking to Mr. Vincent about 5-10 minutes before the start of this, and he said to me, I had my doubts that this day would ever come. And I immediately turned to him and I said, I didn't. There was never a doubt in my mind that we would be here today, that we collectively, Governor McKee, Senate President, we would never let these 2 titans not stay in Rhode Island and prosper. I want to personally thank the Senate President, because as we all know through the history of this legislation, your 2 companies weren't always together, and it always wasn't a joint proposal. It took the Senate President approximately a year ago to bring the parties together, brought them to the bargaining table, and said, you can both win-win. And it was only after that were we able to craft a deal that enhanced the benefits to the state of Rhode Island. So today's a good day because, as the governor said, today's about jobs, keeping them here in Rhode Island, growing them here, and we look for the success of both of these great companies to continue for 20 years more and beyond. Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to introduce the Chief Operating Officer of IGT, Jay Gendron. Jay?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I appreciate everybody joining us today. It has been a long 2.5 years of peaks and valleys, and I must say it feels great to be standing before you today. This day would not have been possible without the support of Governor McKee and his team, the stewardship of Speaker Sakachi, the determination of Senate President Ruggiero, and the collaboration of my friend and colleague, Mark Crisafulli. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the hard work and tireless efforts by Governor Gina Raimondo and her team, particularly Kevin Gallagher, former lottery director Jerry Orban, and current director, Mark Ferklow. All of these folks worked through thick and thin and helped us create a quality agreement for the taxpayers while ensuring that two of the state's top businesses continue to operate. From the committee chairs in the House and the Senate, Chairman Abney and Chairman Pearson, I thank you for your time, insight, patience, and understanding. I'm deeply appreciative of the hardworking staffers. For all these folks throughout state government, I cannot stress enough how important these people were to the passage of this legislation. This is an economic development success story that Rhode Island's leaders should be proud of and should be able to say with confidence, we did this. We kept more than 1,100 well-paying jobs here, brought in more than $250 million in economic investment, approved a $100 million renovation and expansion to protect the state's third largest source of revenue, and ensured not one, but two companies continue to operate here in Rhode Island for the next 20 years. All of this was accomplished during a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. You have to tip your hat to the leadership of this state who stepped up to make this happen. Some people wonder what I'll remember most about this experience. You'd be wrong if you thought I'd said the battles in the media or the roller coaster ride we took to get here. It is the people, pure and simple. Specifically, my colleagues from IGT. I will never forget watching that line of 300 to 400 IGT employees walk from our building to this State House and testify over a 6-hour period in House Finance. I am so proud of all of them. I am grateful for their hard work, and I am honored to stand here and represent them. Today's signing is a validation of those people and how hard they work day in and day out at IGT and in our communities around the state. So today, we celebrate optimism. IGT is poised for many exciting opportunities in business and as a member of this community. It is a new day with a new partner in Bally's. Together, we will ensure gaming in Rhode Island continues to be a model that other states follow. From everyone at IGT, thank you, and we are grateful to those who made this day happen. Now, it is my great Thank you. It is my great honor to introduce my friend, my former boss and colleague, Mark Crisafulli. Mark, I could not be any happier that our lawmakers decided to name this bill in your honor. We are all praying for you and wishing you nothing but the best. Mark.
Thank you, Jay. If I'm being honest, I'm just jealous of his haircut. Honestly, thank you for that kind introduction and for everything. When a piece of legislation is 2.5 years in the making, there are a lot of people to thank. And I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to thank them right now. I won't be able to hit everyone. I've got to start first with Bally's and the whole Bally's team. It's a tremendous company. It's changed. You know, a couple years ago we were Twin River with a couple of properties. Now we're becoming a global company, and we couldn't be happier and more excited for the growth and all the great things that are going to come and that we're going to do here together with IGT. Two great global gaming superpowers headquartered right here in Providence. So as has been so eloquently stated, this legislation represents an enormous economic development commitment by these two companies with deep roots in Rhode Island. However, it did not start out that way, as Jay and so many others have indicated. We fought rather hard for our own interests until together we determined the responsible thing to do was to focus on how we make this work together. And together we did just that. So I first want to thank my counterparts at IGT, Jay, Bob Vincent, Mike Mello, and their whole outstanding team. Without that collaboration, we could have never put together this framework that will take us decades from now into an investment and growth for the state. Governor, thank you for today's ceremony and for supporting this legislation. As Lieutenant Governor, you were a tireless advocate for business big and small. Now that you're governor, you've only stepped it up. You know, it's great to see everything that you're doing. People have talked about the benefits of this legislation, so I won't highlight all of those again. But 101 days into your administration, it's safe to say all of Rhode Island is lucky to have you at the helm. This legislation shows the power of what is possible when business and government get together to advance the interests of the citizens of Rhode Island. There are so many other people who deserve thanks, but I've got to start first with you, President Ruggiero, right? It was the fall of 19, we had just had contested hearings, we were at a stalemate, and the state was desperately in need of leadership. And you alone stepped up. You brought us together and you forged a compromise focused on jobs and economic development and protecting the third largest revenue source for the state. I can say with certainty, without your efforts that day, President Ruggiero, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you. Speaker Shikarchi, after we got to that moment, you insisted that we both give a little more, right? And you Shikarchized the deal. But in the end, you took a piece of good legislation and you made it better for Rhode Island, right? Jobs are faster, more investment, more support of I-195. I can go on and on and on about how you laid this legislation better. So thank you both, President Ruggiero and Speaker Shikarchi. There are so many other people I can thank. I just want to hit on a couple. One, our partners in organized labor, George Nee and Michael Sabatoni for stepping up. Two, the Chambers of Commerce, including specifically the Northern Rhode Island Chamber led by Liz Catucci. Just a rock star. Thank you. I'm also so thankful personally and professionally for Elizabeth Seaver. She stepped in when I got my cancer diagnosis and led the outstanding Bally's team, helping to bring this across the finish line. So thank you, Elizabeth. Now, on a personal note, I'm so humbled that this is called the Mark A. Crisafulli Economic Development Act. This hasn't been an easy time for me or my family. When I heard those words, stage 4, I was terrified. It's not something you ever anticipate. But I came to realize those words don't have to be the end of the story. They're just a moment in time, just a point along the journey. I came to that realization not because of myself, because I was really struggling, but I came to it because of the unbelievable support I received from my wife, Melissa, from my kids, Gabby, Sam, and Jake, from my mother, and from my friends, family, and colleagues, and honestly from this whole community. I am reminded daily how fortunate I am to be a lifelong Rhode Islander and to call this home. So I want to close by telling you about a phone call that meant so much to me. It was soon after I started my battle. I was in the hospital. I was down, I was struggling, I was challenged, and Speaker Shikarchi was on the line. He told me of the plan to name the legislation after me. It provided me such a boost. It just gave me such a positive feeling to take on this battle. thank you genuinely, Mr. Speaker. I really can't tell you what it meant to me. Do you remember how you ended the call? You said to me, Mark, we need you here for a long time to live up to these commitments. Right? Well, I told you then, and I'm telling you now, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to beat this. And when I do, I look forward to working with you, Governor McKee, you, Speaker Shigarchi, and you, President Ruggiero, for years to come. But thank you all genuinely for this honor and for this moment, which I will never forget. So now, Governor, let's sign that bill.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we go back a long ways with the sister in Cumberland and everything else, right, with all the education things that we work together on. So thank you. Looking forward to it. All right, I think we come on over there, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, guy. There he is.
For our state here.
Yeah, come on, Mark. Center stage, Mark, over here. Over here. Your name's on the bill.
That's good.
Hard work to make this happen. Where's the speaker? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Governor.
All right. And Jay was there. Jay, see you on the first tee.
Yes, see you on the first tee. I get to play Sunday after the 100 days.
Hold that one up.
Thank you, Governor.
Hold that one up. Speaker. Okay. Thank you. You got a big crowd here.
Here, watch it.
Mr. Gentry? Is that a word, please?
Hold on.
All right. Mr. Gentry? Yeah, a word, please. My name is Pat Ford. I'm with the Coalition Radio Network. Yesterday, it could be said that on a financial level, IGT/Twin Rivers dodged a bullet. No one would have predicted that the attempt by Union Local 711 in terms of decertifying from LIUNA would have gotten so far as to an actual vote. Given the constant rumors and the investigations and the allegations of malfeasance with pension money, the in and out status of health care for arguably some of the most important workers at in the Twin River family, what do you say to them in terms of what this new organization is going to do to protect, some would argue, the most important employees at Twin River?
Let me introduce you to Mr. Vincent.
Yep.
We don't manage the employees there, or we're part of a partnership to help with the economic development program there. But I'm not familiar with exactly all your allegations that you've made. And all.
What do you do there, sir?
I'm chairman of IGT.
Okay, well,
so I think you really need to talk to the folks at Bally who run
well,
who operate that facility.
Okay, well, again, your name's attached to this, if you will. Your company name is now going forward. During the height of the pandemic, when so many people expressed concern for all these employees, and as you did today, and I'm sure you mean it, these people were told that they no longer had health insurance. Now, these are employees at a facility that
Listen,
has
as I
their name
said,
attached.
we don't manage the facility. We're involved with a partnership there on a much different level, and you really need to talk to Bally's about
Okay, so you're removing any responsibility for it. Fair enough.
Sometimes it's good. I use it when it's only good because we play it back.
Is there anyone actually from Bally's here? Anyone?
You need to have it.
Mr. Crisafulli? Is there anyone from Bally's here?
No, I'm sorry, not today. But would you like to follow up with me later?
No one ever really does.
Do you have a card you can give
You
me?
are?
I'm Patty Doyle.
We've spoken on the phone.
Sure. Your name? Who are you?
My name is Pat Ford.
Oh, I'm okay.
You refused comment at the time, and it
I'm
strikes
happy
me.
to-
It strikes me that I'll give you the question. You get back to me.
Yeah.
But it strikes me right now that the employees there are orphans. Everyone's doing the hot potato, and you've got a group of employees there who, like it or not, work for this wonderful partnership that everyone's so happy to see, who lost their health care benefits in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, which we righted. So if you want it, I'm happy to.
You write
I'm
it after
happy-
significant public pressure.
No, I'm happy to have a sit down with you or answer your questions later. We're here for another purpose, but thank you so much.
It's always putting the spin on it. Okay, fair enough.
How do you persuade people that this state couldn't have gotten a better deal if they did suggest a bid?
Senate Finance Committee Chairman Kirsten, this has been vetted more than any other deal or any other bid would have been.
Anybody I know?
My mom was in the same position you were in.
Oh, yeah, well.
And she
Today.
scored. She was at the end.
Not a bad day for science, but we don't want to be here Tuesday, though.
Senate President Ruggiero, Pat Ford here from the Coalition Radio.
How are you?
Question for you. Good.
Yes, sir.
First of all, congratulations on your efforts today.
Oh, thank you.
Something unrelated. Given how you seem to travel as a team now, Mr. Speaker, yourself, the Senate President, and the Governor, you were notably absent from the safety meeting that was held here earlier this week, or notably not involved, I should say, with gun legislation. Where do you stand on the pending gun legislation right now?
I'm open-minded on the legislation. We have some ideas that we're looking at this point in time.
Well, I mean, the governor actually at one point thought he had signed or was about to sign into law, and yet again, they're given the pandemic and the Zoomification of government, there hasn't really been significant input. No one from government showed up for the gun rally here yesterday here at this State House, yet you had the entire executive branch. What these bills have been heard? Are they going to be passed? And will there be any input from the 2A committee?
We're still looking at it. Right now we're focused on the budget. We've been working on the budget. We want to pop the budget relatively soon.
Okay.
And then we're going to take a look at the legislation. We're going to come back in the fall because I believe we have to do some judges and maybe do some legislation. It depends. We're going to be working over the summer months on legislation. If we don't pass it now, we're going to have some working teams working over the summer, and hopefully when we come back in the fall, and there's no date certain as to when we're going to be doing that, we'll be able to look at legislation. Hopefully, we're going to be able to see what the restrictions and what the regulations are for the money that's going to be coming in from that we have now from Washington that has not been fleshed out yet and that we haven't seen. So we're going to be looking at a lot of things when we come back, and possibly gun legislation might be amongst those acts that we're going to be looking at. So we haven't made a determination yet. We're still, like I said, we're focused on the budget right now. We're going to hopefully finish up this month, take a little break, and then come back and do the work that we have to do in the fall, and then we'll see what happens before we come up, before January comes.
So there's a very real possibility that the 2A legislation pending will actually be heard in the fall?
It's possible. I mean, we've heard all the gun bills so far in committee.
Right.
So we're just sitting down and taking a look at them and seeing which direction we're going to go in.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
That was smart.
Well, that was started years ago. It was something different. I know. He's so sick of me right now.
Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yes. Actually, Liz, yeah, Liz Katucci.
That's right.
Liz Katucci.
I knew that. I just didn't know the face. It's odd now not having masks.
Certainly not. Thank you.
Maybe I should. Maybe that would have helped. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. Yeah, absolutely. I saw. You know who I saw the other day was Dino's father. Okay. Oh, he's such a hot ticket. I've known him since when I was at McKee. We used to go to that. Now it's very interesting. I still call this one too, and I asked him like,
information about how it is working in other states, how best to set it up so it's not for children or other, let me know. Yeah. You know, you're the second person. And because I haven't been out in the world, how about I give you, this is my cell phone number, and I'll text you my email. Family, and do you know about this position? So your number is? This is better because he never called my office.
you're gonna be on the show yet. I'm like,
Steakhouse runs on cell phones at this point anyway.
yeah.
For how many years? Pleasure. Thank you again. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've heard of how the county. Yeah? That would be a building project.
Lunch for you.
Bye, everybody. Oh, yeah, we will.
Did they?
Hope so.
They better take care of them. Take care of them. Good.
I'll see you soon.
No doubt. No, thank you.
Ms. Katucci? Hi, my name is Pat Ford. I'm with an outfit called Coalition Radio Network. We're based here in Providence. I'm actually, years ago, I'm a former member of the Northern Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce.
I'm sorry to hear you're a former member. We hope you come back.
I'm based in Providence now. And,
okay, that's fair.
All right. But question.
Sure.
What do you say to small business around Rhode Island, and particularly say Northern Rhode Island, in your constituency, when the argument, and actually the factual argument, is made that casino gaming is actually has a significant negative impact on local economies in that it represents capital flight out of the region. It represents a state-sponsored, state-subsidized competitive edge, if you will, in competing with local businesses for a limited consumer dollar, particularly in times of a pandemic. If you look around the casino and the dearth of any sort of supporting economic and development in the area, it points to the inclusive nature and the self-supporting nature, and now particularly since they've added a hotel. So why is everybody in such a rush to expand casino gaming? It doesn't help anybody except the casinos.
Well, I'd have to disagree with you there in regards to how it's going to affect the small business community. I think it's going to be a benefit. It's going to draw more people into the states to visit our restaurants. If they stay in the hotel, it breeds healthy competition. So I don't see it as a deficit. I think it is as a benefit, and I think all of those things were mentioned today, especially when it comes to jobs and economic development. That's really important to us, especially coming out of the crisis.
Well, if I can just engage a little back and forth, I'd love to have this in a more extended format, but quite frankly, casinos are designed, like stadiums, like malls, to be inclusive, self-sustaining environment. In fact, a significant amount of the development at the casino is to ensure that the consumer dollar does not leave the casino. And in fact, it's if you look at the dearth of restaurants around the area surrounding the casino, casinos aren't interested in supporting economic development. It is still not really a destination casino, particularly now that Boston and Connecticut bookend, and Plainville for that matter, bookend them. So my understanding is that a significant amount of the money that's gambled there is actually gambled by local Rhode Islanders, as is their choice. And that money, a significant part of that money now, doesn't even really belong to Twin River of Rhode Island. It's gone to build now a national footprint. So a significant amount of the money spent there actually leaves the economy.
So I'd have to disagree with you. All the renovations and all the money that they're about to put into the state is going to be a good thing. It's going to be a positive thing.
Right.
And when I talk to the businesses specifically in Lincoln that are around the casino, they actually feel the same way. All of them were asking when was the casino going to reopen, because they knew that it was going to drive business to their locations and people were going to start to have a comfort level there. Also, I have to say, Twin River has to be probably one of the most generous partners in our community. They give back to the community in so many different ways. I could go on and on about the different charities that are affected, the different businesses that they support. They are a great partner to the state.
If you take $100 and you give 10 back, I guess we'll agree to disagree. But ultimately, I look to economists.
Yes.
And economists typically give this a thumb down. Anyway, thanks for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.